What's up, everyone? So today we have the Stihl BR800X that I never thought I'd say these words in the same sentence, but I bought it. I did. Owner says it doesn't work. He doesn't know why. He just got tired of it. He doesn't want to deal with it. So my plan for this video is we're going to fix it, hopefully, and then I'm going to wait until I can sell it to tell you the profit of what you could potentially make on this. So sit down, relax. If this is something you're interested in, then keep watching. If not, then keep watching anyway. Without boring you to death, I wanted to just tell you what I've done. I pulled, and it has compression, but it doesn't start. So far, that's literally what I did. Background story on the machine. It was a landscaper. Got a new one, and then just getting rid of the old one. He posted on the internet for $25, and he doesn't know what's wrong with it. He lives literally 30 seconds away from me, and messaged him. He said if you can be here, first come, first serve. Like I said, I could have walked to his house, and I got it. 25 bucks, cash in hand, it's mine. I looked at it. Straps seem to be okay condition. Pulled the recoil real quick just to make sure there wasn't a blown motor, because in that case there's really no point even for $25. Not maybe the parts, but yeah, I would have bought it for the parts. But it suffers from the same nonsense that all blowers suffer from, of like no one can fix that properly, but whatever. I'm not even going to bother with that. That is an expense we don't need to worry about. So we know it has compression. Good start. Recoil. Maybe a little rough. But let's take a look at the fuel. Fuel is full. It smells very clean and it looks very blue. So I don't suspect it's a fuel problem. More likely than not, we're going to deal with a carburetor problem. But first, let's look at the valves. Valves probably aren't going to be causing this problem. It can, but it's a cheap and easy way to check. So, because of that, let's go ahead and disconnect the spark plug just because we can. Oh boy. That completely just ripped apart. Huh. I didn't even see a rip or anything. It was already kind of like that. And the thing is, this barb is not necessarily all the way in. The cable, we very well might have just found our problem, but let's continue on just in case. At the very least, like I said, this is a cheap and easy potential problem, and we'll take care of it. Gasket stayed, which is fine. I really want to disconnect that spark plug, so let's take a better set of pliers and take off the metal piece. I kind of forgot to mention this, but go ahead and stick to the end. I'm going to give you a couple scenarios on how you can still make money on this, and oh boy, this is just not working out very well. That was completely stuck on there. But we, oof, there's a lot of junk in there. I was kind of hoping to take the plug out, but nah. Okay, so right now the exhaust valve is down, so that's good. We can test the intake valve instead of, or just the intake valve. If you don't have a special feeler gauge, because this one's a smaller one, if you just go online or to your local store and get like a thin set or a normal set, you can just cut it to make it fit. You don't need to buy the special tool. It's kind of a rip-off. That's interesting. Oh, no, I just wasn't quite. It's actually kind of perfect. Okay, so valves appear to be, well, that valve at least appears to be fine. Now that valve is at the bottom of its travel. Let's go ahead and check the exhaust. The exhaust, if anything, is usually the one that will cause our problems here. Doesn't really have a whole lot of play. Could be tighter. Yes, 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 I get it. Control the laughter. So we're going to tighten this. Just like a 10 degrees, if that. These take very small adjustments. And you should never measure it with your tool on there. It's getting a lot better. Not quite there yet, though. Sorry for the noise. My neighbor's having a construction project being done. That right there feels pretty good. The exhaust valve has a decompression mechanism on it that allows you to start it easier. So if your exhaust valve is too loose, you're going to have problems. This is the story of many people's lives. Ideally, you should be pulling the engine over and checking it again. However, we made such a minor adjustment, I'm not going to be too worried about it. And if you really think that your gasket on the bottom is in poor shape, then you should be replacing it. So let's take a look at the boot. The boot is completely split, like at the seam. I make the executive decision of removing this whole cover. We're going to remove the recoil, 3 screws. We're going to remove the side here. And you don't need to, but it makes it easier. And then there's 2 screws here, 2 screws on the bottom, and this whole thing comes off. I wasn't going to bring you back until the end, but a situation came up I want to discuss. This has been worked on before. I know that because this screw was kind of stripped out, which is bad. When you do this, use the correct T. For reference, this is a T25. You don't want to strip any of these out, because let me explain what will happen. Let's say you strip out one of them. Literally one can make it so you can't remove the cover, and if you strip out the one that has the recoil, well, it doesn't even matter if you can take the others out of the cover. The recoil is holding the cover on, so you're going to have to cut off the whole cover and then the recoil, and then you're in the ballpark of replacing all of it. So don't do that. T25, firmly planted, and if it's dirty, take like a pick and clean it out. Because if it's dirty, you don't have a full engagement of it, let's say that, and then you'll have a lot of problems. If it's not dirty and you're using the wrong size, then you have the same problems. The point of the story is make sure everything's clean and you have the right size. Okay, let's put this off to the side. So here's the cable that we need to repair, potentially. Or you might want to test it out first. So it doesn't really look too dirty in there, so that's good. The end of it is pretty good. So what happens is inside of there, the voltage is transferred through the wire. That little hook gets stabbed through, so it makes contact, and then that contact allows it to transfer that energy to the plug. Now usually this doesn't completely rip apart, so this would be a lot harder. But the fact that this ripped apart very well might have had something to do with it. Maybe it wasn't putting enough compression on it and it kind of slipped out. So many potential problems with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like a piece of electrical tape for now, and then we'll see if it sparks. It just kind of hit me, why am I getting electrical tape or zip ties when I have like a whole thing of like coils here that might have a boot that we're looking for, you know? And if I ever need this, oh, what's this? Oh, new piston rings, interesting, okay. I'll keep that. I don't know how that worked its way in there. Anyway, so we want a coil that's roughly the same size. It doesn't really have to be exactly the same. Actually the same. No, it's not. Okay. But the boot is the same. So we're going to steal the boot. Okay. I'm going to put that boot on. It kind of just struck me. I should make sure this coil is even good. So let's take the plug out. Dirt's not going anywhere. There we go. I mean, the plug's not great, but it's not broken. Shove this on. We don't want to touch this. How are we going to touch metal without touching? I'm going to see what I can do. We're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to take a pair of pliers, because I don't feel like touching the metal by accident, with the plug out, spin the engine over, and it should arc. I don't know how well you saw that. I could barely see it, but it does work. Okay. So, I'm going to put a little WD-40 in here and we'll get this installed. WD-40 makes it easier. Once you actually kind of shove it through, it kind of just makes it so everything is a lot easier to work around. Now, you need to make sure it's oriented right. So, shove something in there. I think we need to turn it around. Let's take it off. There we go. I think that's should be good. Yeah. Okay, let's put a plug in. It snaps into place just fine now. Let's go ahead and do the same test. Spark. You can't see it, like I said, but I definitely can. So, let's go ahead, put this back in, and kind of wondering if we even need to do any carb work now. Oops. I'm going to say let's try priming it first. The primer, I wish I knew the story behind it. If it suddenly stopped, I'd be a lot more convinced that this is all we needed to do. But at the end of the day, You know, if we need to buy a new carb or rebuild this one, dang it, that's the second time, we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back together real quick, and in the meantime as well, I think I might put a little WD-40 in the center of that, like so, just to kind of work it in, make it so the recoils all the way. See, already better. So I'm going to put it back on opposite the way it came off, and then make sure I route that where it needs to be, and then we'll give it a pull. Recoil is on, fuel tank is tight, and prime it. I didn't put the covers or anything on, I'm just doing the bare minimum so I can see if I need to take it off again. It's kind of disconcerting how long it takes to prime. That's choke. Let's give it a pull. Let's hold down the throttle and put it to the lock position. Unfortunately, I can't have the choke on with full throttle, but I can hopefully manually hold it. Don't think that's really working. So we might have to look into getting something with a carb. So I work on these quite often, as anyone who's seen my channel often knows. So I already have a carburetor, and while you could clean it, it's probably a fine idea, I'm just going to replace it because the aftermarket carbs are pretty cheap. They're pretty decent, and it's going to be easy. This one is $18.99. So let's take everything off. We have a couple screws we need to take off here. Pay attention to this one. It's a fine thread that goes into metal. The other one goes into plastic. As you can see with that one. Now we take off these two screws. Okay, I'm starting. I thought I saw oil, or excuse me, fuel dumping out of the carburetor. Now, more likely than not, I'm gonna have to tune this carburetor, but meh. Gonna need our trusty set of pliers. Let's take our screws out. Make things a lot easier. There we go. Okay. Opening the fuel tank is very important, because when you start taking off fuel lines, if you don't, it's gonna just do all kinds of bad stuff. Okay. Yep, that does appear to be the right one. So let's take off this. This is a crank vent. It kind of helps the carburetor, or not helps, it's the only thing that moves the fuel around in the carburetor. There's a line up top. This screw is really not wanting to play nice. There we go. Use the other one to push it through. There we go. Now, let's get you a better view. Now let's take out the throttle cable. There we go. Should have a couple lines going to it. And it does, but it's a tad cramped in here. If these fuel lines are in bad condition, you should replace them. These are not in horrible condition, so I'm not going to replace them. Now, that carb, you can buy a kit and clean it, buy a can of carb spray. If you have an ultrasonic cleaner, it's even easier. In my experience, it's just better to buy a new carb, but you can clean it if you want to keep the OEM carb. Or you could buy an OEM carb. Last time I checked, they're 89 bucks. Disclaimer, I haven't checked in a while too, so it could be a very old price. So that line goes right here. I doubt you're going to be able to see a whole lot. I can't really see a whole lot either. There we go. Now, if we hold down the throttle, there is a loop on there, or excuse me, a circular part, and we have problems. Just like I suspected. Okay. So we need to take off the fuel line. Problem is this. See that little circle? It doesn't go all the way through, and it should. So in situations like this, I'm just going to take a drill bit and drill it out. So actually, let's get you an even better view. I actually just took off the old one and I replaced it on the new one. As you can tell, there's a circle on both sides. So we should be pretty much good to go to continue. I was going to drill it out, but the arm on here looked questionable at best. So I didn't want to take any chances. Just took it off. It's a lot easier at the end of the day. Don't have to worry about drill bits or anything, even though I got a drill bit ready for it. I was expecting to use a drill bit, but I couldn't use a drill bit. But now, throttle cable goes on just like it should. Next, we are going to put, there's also a line right here, hopefully you can see it, that has to go on that. It's not always the easiest thing to do. Once you kind of push the carb on, hopefully it'll be a little bit better. There we go. Good and tight. We go by the German spec here because we're working on German engineering. I've recently started helping a friend of mine work on a Mini Cooper. And oh my God, to say the level of what were they thinking is just astounding. Of course, I'm just not used to working on German cars. Okay, that's important. If you forget about it, it's not going to run. So, this is equally as important. When you put these two bolts in, do not put them all the way on. You put one on and then start, and then do the next one. if you tighten it all the way, it's just going to be tore up. In addition to that, you want to make sure you don't have any gaskets on your original carburetor, or the gaskets that are on your machine are ripped. You don't want to deal with that nonsense either. So luckily mine were not ripped and all the lines appear to be on. So I think what we're going to try now is we're going to step you back, put the fuel cap on, try priming it, see if it works any better. Oh my god, it's like night and day difference. See, that's how it's supposed to work. We want to do that now because we want to check for leaks. Potentially the fuel lines, when we were taking them off, might have been ripped, or we might have ripped them. And that's bad. Not only will we be leaking fuel, but you'd be kind of creating like a kind of a vacuum leak and causing issues. But it doesn't look like it. So I'm going to put the cover back on. You've seen that before, or at least you know how to take it off. So it's the opposite way of putting it on. Putting the screws back on. Remember, the one down here goes into steel, so define thread, and then I'll bring it back once it's put together. Oh, also, the kit I got does have a new filter, so we're going to be adding a new filter. In addition to that, it does have one of these. I don't really suspect ours is a problem because it's doing just everything it needs to, and the quality of this is questionable at best, so we're not going to deal with that. In addition to that, it does come with a plug. I'm going to be throwing that plug directly into the trash because those plugs are complete trash. I have a brand new NGK that's going to go in there, so I'm going to replace the plug, put the covers on, put the new air filter on. Let's look at the air. Actually, the air filter's not all that horrible. But I have it, so why not? Garbage. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and bring it back. Here we are. Let's move the electric blower out of the way and see what we have to do. Now in the kit, it does come with an adjustment driver. What is this? A hexagon driver. I probably will need it, but that's beyond the scope of this video. As long as it's running, that's what we're going to do. So, choke. Prime, which feels so much better right now. It's unbelievable. Try no choke. I smell fuel. Let's have no choke. Full throttle, see what happens. Well, it is a new carb. Maybe it just takes more primes. I'm seeing kind of mist coming from the exhaust. Something you can also check is the spark shield or spark arrestor. It was clean. I think we're gonna see if it's flooded. If it is, that would definitely be a reason why it's not starting. So, a little update. I took the fuel out, and the fuel does look good. I have no problems with it, except for the amount of water that was in there. So, I actually pulled out, it was almost a full tank, and probably a third of it was water. Took it out, blew out the tank, primed it to get all the water out of the carb as I could, and then drained it again. And right now I'm mixing up a brand new batch of non-ethanol fuel with Echo Red Armor, 50 to 1. That's probably more like 45 to 1. And then we're going to prime it like 30 times. Because what's going to happen is this. On the end of the line, it's probably just a little over half. The end of the line, there's a weight to kind of make sure that the fuel line doesn't rise above the fuel level and then cause it to starve for fuel. The problem with that being is this: when there's water, especially the amount of water I discovered, that's not good. It will be basically only pumping water, which would explain our problem. So right now the carb is mostly dry. Kind of wish I would have saw this earlier. The amount of water in here is probably so minimal now, though. It's gonna be okay. Like I said, we're gonna prime this thing a lot. Just to make sure, because what we're doing is we're pulling fuel through the carburetor, and when doing so, the excess fuel that's in the carburetor gets returned to the tank. Okay. I know it's full throttle. Let's just see what happens. I probably have to put choke on. Yeah, let's turn that off. Choke on. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a few minutes getting it tuned up. I have videos on how to tune, in fact, this exact same machine after installing a new aftermarket carb, or any carb for that matter. So if you want to learn how to do that, watch that video. I'll bring it back. Oh man. Whew. Remember how I said there was a lot of carbon in there? Oh my. So, got to run, I hope. It's been running for 3-4 minutes right now, and this is where it's at. Kind of warm. Earlier, even though it has a spark arrestor, it was just spitting out hot pieces of carbon. I don't know, I mean, I saw it 2 or 3 times when I was doing it right now. I don't know if you saw it, but it was pretty bad. So this is the plan of action. It has an air filter. I looked at the fuel filter. Fuel filter seems fine. I have another one now. I'll put that on. I'm going to put the new spark plug on. And then I'm going to let it run outside on idle for like 5 minutes. And then I'm going to... There's a switch on the handle that allows you to run it at like half throttle. I'm going to let it run for like half throttle for about 10 minutes. Let me put it back to idle. I'm going to use it. There's a few things I need to use it on. And then at that point in time, I'll make my final adjustments. Right now, I think it's okay. What we are experiencing now is a new motor. Well, not new, but old motor. Just getting rid of all the junk. It's like it had a sinus infection. It's just clearing all that crap out. So I'm going to clear it out, and then I'll bring it back. This machine, with the exception of that tape nonsense, is in pretty good condition. So, I mean, it's a little dirty, yeah. I'm not getting bothered with that. More likely than not, a landscaper's going to buy this, and they don't really care about that because it's going to go in the back of a trailer. So, how do we price this? Right now, here to go to the store, it's anywhere between $6 to $6.50 is what I've found. My local supplier sold them for $6.49, unless you got like some credit card or line of credit with them, in which case they gave it to you for cheaper. But online, you can also buy it for about $6 to $6.50. So I'm gonna go with the lower end, $600. At $600, brand new, which means this one I'm gonna put on the internet for about half, which is about $350. $300. We'll do exactly half, not just about. And I'm gonna put it on right now, and hopefully by the next 1 to 2 to 3 days, this should be sold. So hopefully we'll be sitting here soon with cash in our hand. So I have it listed, and I want to go over the prices that I have listed for $300. As is, that's it. Take it or leave it. No discounts. This is what it is. What do I have in it? $25 for the machine. I don't even know how to price this out. Let's say $5. Okay. If I was just going to buy that sounds pretty decent. Or not decent. I wouldn't want to pay that, but it's probably what I would expect to pay. And I have a new carburetor. Let's round it up to $20. So 25. I have about $50 in this. If I wasn't recording this, I probably could have this done in about 30 to 45 minutes. And yeah, so about, let's say 45 minutes, even if I charged like $100 an hour, that's still $75, about $125 including my labor in this pile. And potentially, if I were to sell it for $300, I would still make a nice reasonable profit of $175. If I didn't include my labor, I'm looking at $250 worth of profit. So, no, the air filter was included in the kit. So is it, yeah, so we should be good. Other than that, it runs, it stops. I don't know how much to put in for the fuel. Let's say fuel in my area, we already rounded up, so we're not going to bother with fuel. I didn't put that much in there. I'm not going to be too petty. So it's on the internet now, and we will see. It has not been more than 15 minutes. I'm not even done cleaning up. I went inside, had a snack, came outside, put a few things away in here, about to close the garage for the evening. Messaged me, is it available? I said yes. By the way, this on Facebook Marketplace. He said, does it run? Yes. Tuned up? Yes. I have a video on the Marketplace. I don't know why he asked me if it runs, but whatever. He is now going to be coming over tomorrow morning. I know what you're going to say. It's not sold yet, so why are you telling me about it? And I thoroughly agree. I would think the same thing, except he asked me if I took Venmo, and I said yes. I would prefer cash because Venmo takes a fee, and I don't want to have to pay the fee, so ideally, just come tomorrow with cash. He's like, no, I don't want to run the risk of you getting rid of it, so go ahead. I'll give you $340 to cover the fee. Okay. I think the fee was 3%? 4%? Let's say 4%. $12. I actually made money on that fee. I feel like Venmo. So, it is now bought and paid for. So right now, let's say $300. I have $50 into this, not including my time. Including my time, $125 maybe, I don't know, whatever you want to consider. But not including time, $250. Not gonna lie. May not necessarily like Stihls. I really don't like working on them sometimes, but they are definitely a money maker. So if you're looking to make a little bit of money, this is a perfect way. Just make sure it has compression, make sure the recoil works, make sure the straps are decent. Tube, as long as it's not broken and super, taped up, it's probably fine. I mean, look at the one I have, $300. It already gave me, well, electric money. So, not that bad. We didn't even do the primer bulb or anything. We have gas, a carb, and a boot and some time, and a carb kit. So, that's not bad. $250 in my pocket, and literally within a day, so I'm happy with that. If you had to buy this everything online, you'd probably be waiting a day or two. I don't know what your market is, but this is what it sells for in my market. Dude is a landscaper. I looked at his pictures, which, by the way, if you ever get a message and they reply back with what, let me explain. On Facebook Marketplace, if you're unaware, say, is this available? Or sometimes they'll send you a direct message saying something else. And if it's available, I just say yes. Sometimes, unless I just don't really care about it, in which case I won't. But if I get a legit message like, hey, Mr. PMW, small engine and lawn, I want to buy this, can I pick it up tomorrow? I'll look at their profile and make sure they're a real person, and if they are, then I will respond. If they're not, if they have no pictures, they joined yesterday and it's probably a bot, not going to worry about that nonsense, I just delete it. This dude had a picture of a truck, a trailer, I don't remember, something landscape on the side of the trailer. He obviously does this for a living. He wants this machine, so we are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and leave you at that. Follow me on Instagram at smallengine101. If you like what you see, keep watching. Definitely subscribe. If this helped you out, put a thumbs up. It definitely helps me out. And I'll catch you in the next video. You have a good night.